Hello and welcome. I'm a hotel AI expert with extensive experience in modern hospitality operations, and I am so pleased to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to your online learning journey. We're about to dive into one of the most critical processes for any successful hotel, budgeting. And by the end of this, you'll see it's so much more than numbers. It's really all about teamwork.
So this isn't about just reading from a textbook or dealing with abstract theories. No, this journey is all about the real world. We're here to connect what you're learning in your studies with the hands-on, practical skills you're going to need from day one. Really, our goal is simple, to help you transform from a student into a truly confident hotel leader. Okay, let's get right to the heart of it. If there's one single thing you need to grasp about hotel budgeting, it's this right here. It is a collaborative process. You know, a successful budget isn't something that's just cooked up by one person in a quiet office somewhere. Note, it's the result of key players, from finance, operations, and leadership, all working together perfectly in sync. And in this explainer, we're going to figure out exactly who these players are and what each one brings to the team. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about why budgeting is really a team sport. Then we'll introduce the key players, the high-level strategists, the folks on the ground who are the experts, and of course, the essential coordinators. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by looking at why having these roles crystal clear is the absolute secret to financial success. Think about creating a hotel budget like you're running a perfect play in a team sport, maybe football. It just won't work unless every single player knows their position, understands exactly what they need to do, and completely trusts their teammates. See, when everyone does their part, the result isn't just some spreadsheet filled with numbers. What you get is a winning game plan, one that's both ambitious and totally achievable. All right, so who's the one calling the plays from the sideline? Well, that brings us to our very first key role, the strategists. Now, we're talking about your general manager, the executive team. These are the folks who aren't down in the weeds. They're looking out at the horizon, setting the vision and the entire direction for the hotel.
And here's what really defines what they do. Senior leaders, they don't get lost in all the little daily line items. Their focus is always on the big picture. They're the ones asking those huge critical questions like, are we trying to become the #1 luxury destination in this city? Or should we be investing in new technology to make ourselves more efficient? They make sure the budget actually serves these bigger long-term goals. They decide on major investments, and at the end of the day, they're the ones who give that final green light.
And this all leads us to their most important job, strategic alignment. So what does that mean? It means that every single dollar, every penny allocated in that budget has to be a deliberate step towards reaching the hotel's mission. You see, without that guidance from the top, a budget is just, well, it's a bunch of numbers without any meaning. But with it, it becomes an incredibly powerful tool for growth.
Okay, so leadership sets this grand vision, right? But is that vision even achievable on the ground? Well, to answer that, we need our experts. And this is the absolutely crucial role of the department heads. We're talking about the director of rooms, the executive chef, the head of maintenance, the true masters of their own domains. Now, these department heads, they're the ones who translate that high-level strategy into everyday reality. They know exactly how many housekeepers you need to maintain that 5-star level of cleanliness. They know the real cost of sourcing local ingredients for that fancy new menu. They provide all the practical, frontline data that really grounds the budget in reality. And by doing that, they take real, genuine ownership of their department's financial success. Their unique value can really be summed up in just 2 words: operational insight. And this isn't something you can just find on a spreadsheet somewhere. No, this is that hard-won, practical knowledge of what it truly takes to run a hotel day in and day out. This insight, this is what turns a theoretical financial plan into a budget that's workable, effective, and totally realistic. All right, so we've got our strategists setting the vision and our experts giving us that reality check. Now we need the team that pulls it all together. The ones who make sure all the numbers actually add up and that everyone is speaking the same financial language. And this is the vital role of the coordinators, your finance team. The finance team, they really provide the technical backbone for this entire process. So when a department head puts in a request for more staff, finance is the one who validates it against historical data, against occupancy forecasts. They're the ones who make sure that the way food and beverage calculates costs is consistent with how the rooms division does it. Think of them as the guardians of consistency and accuracy, pulling everything together into one cohesive, professional financial plan. And this quote, which actually comes from your own institution, Europe Hotel School London, it just captures their role perfectly.
The finance team isn't just some gatekeeper, checking boxes. They are a facilitator, which means they're actively helping departments build their budgets. And they're an advisor, using data to guide the whole process towards a financially sound outcome. They are the central hub that really makes all this collaboration work. So we've defined these 3 key roles. Now we get to the most important question of all. Why does this matter so much? Well, it's because defining these responsibilities is what turns a potentially chaotic, messy process into one that's productive and strategic. It literally moves the entire conversation from conflict to constructive dialogue. This little matrix here really brings it all home. Just look at how these roles are totally distinct, but at the same time completely interdependent. Leadership gives us the why. That's the strategic direction. The department heads provide the how. That's the operational plan. And the finance team makes sure the what, the numbers themselves, are accurate and consistent. If you take away even one of those pieces, the whole structure just falls apart. Success is only found when all 3 work together in synergy. And ultimately, this is what defines the difference between success and failure. Over here on the left, you see what happens when you don't have clear roles. Budgeting just becomes a battle, right? Departments feel like their needs are ignored, finance thinks the requests are totally unrealistic, and the end result is just confusion and conflict. But then look over on the right. With clear roles, it becomes a constructive dialogue. Everybody understands their unique contribution, they respect the expertise of the other teams, and that leads to shared ownership and real accountability. Look, if you take just one thing away from this whole explainer, please let it be this. The secret to a great hotel budget isn't some magic formula. It's a well-defined process built on crystal clear roles and responsibilities. That is what creates budgets that are accurate in their numbers, that foster accountability in how they're carried out, and are ultimately effective in driving the entire hotel forward. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to think about as you move forward in your own careers. Whether you dream of being a general manager, setting the strategy, or maybe a passionate department head leading a team from the front, or a razor-sharp director of finance guiding the whole process, which of these vital roles will you play? Because understanding where you fit on this team, well, that's the very first step to becoming a truly indispensable leader in this amazing industry.